Show has time, looks for Deutsch. Deutsch at the one into the end zone.
Comes on to serve, dug out by Bishop. This to the middle and slamming one home.
And free ball to the crossover. Eilertson will get the pass for Hawley, set up left side. Rusted down with the kill. He'll play action now, look to pass over the middle. It's intercepted by Cole Hebel. Intercepted by Hebel, and he brings it back.
Set it up, Bostena left side. Big kill blocked at the net. Kept alive by the Greyhounds.
Fetting's got room, and here's Bo Fetting. Fetting's still on his feet. Fetting's gone. Bo.
The Your Live Event Coaches Show is presented by the Hillsboro Economic Development Committee.
Hello again, I'm Joe Lancello, and welcome to the Your Live Event Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Committee. We've got plenty of high school football that we'll be talking about later on this half hour. We'll be checking in with Scott Olsen from Hillsboro-Central Valley. We'll talk with Tony Soderberg from DILWORTH-GLYNDON-FELTON as well. We'll also talk high school volleyball with Stacy Hanson from Mayport, and also high school cross country with Nathan STOA, the coach of the Hawley Nuggets boys and girls cross country teams. But we'll be starting with 11 AA football in North Dakota. We'll hear from FARGO SHANLEY coach Troy MATTERN, but we'll start things off with the West Fargo Cheyenne team, and Chase Miller had a chance to talk with their coach, Jeremy Newton.
As we dip our toe now into North Dakota 11 AA football, with us is West Fargo Cheyenne head football coach, that is Jeremy Newton. And Jeremy, I can't believe when I was going back saying, when did West Fargo Cheyenne have its first full slate of varsity football season? You know, we're talking 2013, getting a little taste. 2014, every game on the schedule was varsity football. I got to ask about the DNA and the backbone first of a Mustang player, a Mustang coach, someone that's with this program, because you've had a lot of success in under a decade, 7 straight years of making playoffs, 3 straight appearances at the Dakota Bowl. You've won a championship as well. So what is the background? What is the DNA? What is the backbone of this program here, Jeremy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's any different than anyone else. You know, it's we just had we got some good kids come through. We got some kids that, you know, you need to want to play hard and do your best. And, you know, we've just been fortunate to have good kids.
And can you believe it's almost been a decade in terms of your shoes about how quickly it's kind of gone and how you've seen the maturation, not just of the football program, but of the field, of the school, and seeing where Cheyenne as, you know, a whole is at right now in terms of a varsity program across the board?
Yeah, it's unreal. From the first day we walked on this campus till now, it seems like it was just yesterday, but it's amazing how far it's come and how many things have developed over the time.
No, it seems like this year in 11 AA football, there's some years where you say, okay, there's team A, team B, and everybody else. Some years you say, you know what, maybe you put a coin toss up on any type of Friday night. You're never sure it's going to happen, because we've seen that a little bit in 11 AA this year. Jeremy, do you feel from your point of view, it's about just as much parity as maybe as it has been in recent years?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this in our North Dakota class that we've had. I really think that there's 7-8 teams that could probably win it if things went well for them on a certain night. So it's been a lot of fun. It's stressful. Every week is a seriously good game, you know. So, but I think it's great for the state and it's great for everyone.
And this year, too, you get ready to go up to the West a little bit more, go to the Magic City here on Friday. Talk about them just for a second, Jeremy, in terms of what Minot's been able to accomplish. Obviously, we know what they were able to do with Mandan and play some really good teams early on in the season. What is it like with these road trips now to Bismarck, to Minot, a little bit more than maybe what you've had in recent past?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's taxing on the kids, a lot of travel, but you know, you got to come to play, and we get to go up to Minot this week, which is a long ways to go up, and you play a super scrappy team that plays well at home. They play well everywhere. So it's going to be a formidable challenge for sure.
When I look down at your guys' stats, I think something came off the page in the backfield, at least for rushing, is consistency and also balance. Race Wilson, you got Isaac Kanega, Barry Penu in your QB, and Caleb Deere. You know, it's like one has 52 yards rushing, the other has 62, one has 53, and so forth. So you put 4 guys together. My math would say, Jeremy, that's about 200 some yards rushing between the 4 of them for per game before you look at anybody else. What does that balance do for this 2022 version of the Mustangs this year?
Well, it makes us, you know, people have to play us honest, and I think that's a big deal for anyone. They've been stacking the box against us pretty good after last year for sure. So in order for us to be balanced, I think helps us out a lot as a team.
Is there some players that maybe get overlooked, whether it's from, the media point of view, maybe, you kind of start taking a look and they might not get the stats, but without what they maybe do offense, defense, or special teams, you guys might not be where you're at right now with 4 wins and 1 loss on the year. Jeremy, give me a kid or two that maybe doesn't get as much notoriety as some others do kind of throughout a season.
Well, I mean, you could throw a bunch of names out there too, but I really think that, for us, for the most part, our defense has been pretty solid as a whole, and they play well together and they're getting better every week. And I think that them being able to get out there and not play very many plays to to give them the best compliment you can give is something that's very important to our team.
In high school football, we hear it in any sport or any particular level of football. If you can control the clock, you minimize the game, and kind of to your point in terms of able to rush the football, have those long drives, capitalize for 6. What does that game plan do for you guys going into a game when, okay, the first 12 minutes is maybe kind of going to plan when you're playing a team like Shanley who wants to, run and gun and get up the field and make it multiple possession games? How much of a cat and mouse is that kind of week to week in 11 AA football?
When it is, we play our style and other teams play their style. And you play a team like Shanley, you're just never safe, so you want to have the ball the whole game. So, but you just have to, run your game plan and see how it works out and hope things go your way, really.
The one thing, Jeremy, Fargo Davies game, your 4 wins, that's just your 1 loss, able to bounce back though with a couple nice wins after that. What did your coaching staff learn in that Fargo Davies game that what you've seen here the last couple of weeks maybe got you back on the right track here?
Well, I mean, we have to get better, I mean, I think that this team took a little piggyback off of what last year's team did, and that, sometimes winning makes you a little soft, and that's, I feel like getting hit in the mouth by Davies was a great thing for us, and it enabled us to realize where we actually are so that we can, take an honest look and get better.
4 weeks left to go on the regular season here. You're already past the midway point. Obviously, this is an opportunity for a chance to have that playoff push, so to speak. Put yourself in a really good situation as well if you take care of business on Friday nights. What's this time of the season when you look at the calendar? It's officially fall now. We're past the fall equinox. You kind of know, okay, it's getting down to 40s and 50s. You're starting to get that football weather in a little bit as well. Jeremy, what does this time of the year do before you hopefully get to that postseason in October?
Yeah, it's my favorite time of the year for sure, and it is. You see the leaves start changing, and it gets a little colder, and the nights get a little longer, and it's just football's time for me. So I love it, and I think, especially with the way the state is shaping up right now, it's just going to be super fun. And we're right now we're trying to make ourselves get into the playoffs because anyone can beat anyone, and I think it's going to be a heck of an postseason this year.
Just 1 or 2 things left with Coach Newton here. And I just got to ask this, how many times do you get talked about, hey, you and your other half are both coaches during the year in the fall? What is your household like? I know last year with Xander getting to an all-star game, kind of asked that question on how much are you guys talking about sports in general? How much are you talking about football or something in between when it was basketball season for Xander as well? But Jeremy, for you, how much are you able to do you ever get to take the coaching half off, or is it, hey, let me hear about your day a little bit and how your coaching style was for volleyball and vice versa? How does that kind of go from a family point of view?
Yeah, well, it's tough because neither one of us are home before 9 o'clock generally, except for Wednesdays. So Wednesdays we make sure we have a family dinner and make sure we just talk about stuff that's going on in the day and kind of leave it all away. And then Saturdays we try to make sure we have lunch together and connect and hang out. But it is a lot of fun. We both are, we're both fans of each other's sports. So it's been a super awesome career for us to do.
Final thing for you, let you go here, Jeremy. The one thing during your time at West Fargo Cheyenne football, I'm not going to ask you to reminisce on one particular player, but has there been any surprises from your point of view now that we are a decade in that maybe it's something going, okay, this was even better than what I thought originally? I mean, you got turf football field, you got a really good support from the crowd, obviously. Winning obviously helps that as well, but when you get really good players too coming on through, that just adds on to the culture that you want to continue to build. Is there anything that maybe if you would have been told in 2012, 2013 that this was going to be an opportunity for you and you're still with the program here, in the 2020 decade, Jeremy, anything come to mind that stands out that's been, hey, you know what, this has been, even better than maybe what you could imagine it to be at this point?
Yeah, I would say the field. When I got here and looked at the field, it didn't even have grass on it. And I was like, oh gosh. And then for that to develop into the blue and orange and the turf field and the atmosphere that we have for some of those games. And that's been something that you just dream of. And I'm happy that's been able to happen.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck here the last 4 weeks of the regular season and up in Minot against the Magi coming up on Friday.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Hillsboro Economic Development Committee provides information and a support for small businesses. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Welcome back to the Hillsboro EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello, joined now by Troy Mattern, the coach of the Fargo Shanley Deacons football team. You guys off to a 4-1 start and had a nice win over Bismarck Century, I understand, last Friday.
Yeah, Joe, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. And yeah, it was a good win for our program. We haven't beat Century in a long time. So it was a good win. And like you said, to get us to 4-1, that's the biggest thing is at the end of the week, you're 1-0 and beat a good Century team. And now we have another big test this week as we head out to another Bismarck team. We go out west to travel to Bismarck Legacy, who is also 4-1. So it's just another big football game for our program.
Saw some of the video highlights of the last game and looking at Michael Rosberger, quarterback, you got a guy with a nice arm there.
Yeah, he's a Division I quarterback. He signed at St. Thomas, who's in transition of Division I. But yeah, he's 6'5", 200 pounds, great arm strength. He's a 2-year starter. So everything that he's doing is really well. That transformation he's made from his junior year to his senior year has been really good. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards and so far this season. And but he's a student of the game. And obviously you have to be if you're going to play at the Division I level. But it's a good place to start in high school football if you want to have success at the quarterback play. And, I'm pleased with where he's at to start the year. And we expect him to continue to get better on the back half of the schedule here moving towards the playoffs.
What are some of the areas where the Deacons have done well this season?
I've been really pleased defensively. We have most of our kids back on the defensive side of the ball. We're playing fast and physical. We're not giving up a lot of points. Much better on third down. We're getting off the field. I think last year that was probably one of our biggest struggles. And then offensively, 4 of our 5 returning linemen are back. That's a great place to start again in high school football. But probably the biggest area that I'm pleased with is our receiving core. We have a lot of kids that are, catching balls. We could probably put 6, 7 kids on the field at any given time. And I've been really pleased with just the different dynamic that each kid brings to give Michael that support system to move the ball down the field because, we're a pass happy team and you got to be able to, diversify and get to different kids at different times. And, I think each kid that we put out there brings a different, aspect to that passing game.
It's one thing to have a quarterback who can deliver the ball, obviously, but you've got to have somebody at the other end to catch it.
Exactly. Yeah. Easier said than done sometimes.
Your season so far, 4-1. I think the only loss was to West Fargo Cheyenne a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. We've, Cheyenne's kind of created the standard of EDC football right now. They've been in the state championship the last 3 years, winning it last year. Matter of fact, they lost to Davies a couple weeks ago and their first, regular season loss since 2019, which is pretty impressive. And that was against us, but we've built a great rivalry with Cheyenne. Every game is competitive. That's who knocked us out in the semis last year. The game was, it was a great high school football game. Every time we play them, they bring such a unique style. They got that triple option where you got to be so sound defensively. And if you make mistakes, they take advantage of it. And, and we did that. We made a couple of mistakes in the second half and, it cost us the game, but we're right there. We're right there with them. It was a good high school game, like I mentioned, and hopefully down the road, we'll get another opportunity to play them again.
Sounds like 11 AA is pretty strong in North Dakota this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's, because we've went to a statewide schedule. So, there is no East EDC or WD anymore. There's no conference play. Every game counts. And it seems like every game we go into week in, week out is a grind and it's a battle and it's an important game, because it counts towards the standings as we're following the Minnesota model now where it's QRF and every game, goes towards that QRF. And obviously you want to be in the top 4 to have a home playoff game. You want to be in the top 2 to have both home playoff games. But, we have a tough schedule coming ahead of us. Our next 3 opponents are in the top 5. We got Legacy, then we'll be at home against Fargo Davies, who's number 1, and then we'll travel to Mandan, who's number 2. So we're going to find out where we're at as a football team this year. And, we wouldn't want it any other way, but our focus right now is on Bismarck legacy. But yeah, it's a grind each and every week. And, you don't know what to expect when you see the scores after our game, but it's been fun.
And the grind also involves travel because you're not in Metro Fargo every week. You got to make some big trips. You mentioned Mandan and Bismarck.
Yeah, that's probably our biggest, downfall of going to a statewide schedule, especially with us being in Fargo and the Metro. We don't play, Fargo North. This year we did get an opportunity to play South. We don't go up to Grand Forks, which is a short trip. So we do travel more, and you play really good football teams. So that's probably the downfall of going to a statewide schedule. But it is what it is. Like we tell the kids, we can't control that. We can only control what we do between the football lines, and that's what's important to us. And our focus right now is on Bismarck legacy and heading out there to play a really good 4-1 football team.
Now, Legacy leading the Western half, as I understand it. What do you know about them? What will be the concerns?
Yeah, they're a big team. They're really big up front. They're close to 300 pounds across the board on the offensive and defensive lines. Very athletic. And just a really good football team. One thing I noticed is they bring a lot of pressure, give a lot of different looks. So they're going to cause us a lot of fits. And then offensively, they're kind of your old school ground and pound, getting the I formation, play action type team, and to get those 3, 4, 5 yards at a time, control the clock, and keep our offense off the field. And so we're going to have to continue to make plays defensively. And they don't lose a lot at home either. They got a great high school atmosphere at their field. They've kind of branched off from the Community Bowl in Bismarck, where high school football has been played forever, but they play on their high school campus, which I was just there last night for our JV game, and it's just a beautiful facility. It's less than 5 years old, and it's a really cool setting. So we're excited for Friday Night Lights out there.
Very nice. The Shanley Deacons will be at Bismarck Legacy, and hopefully some good things coming for the Deacons. Troy Mattern, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And if I can get some full disclosure here, nice to see you after like a 30-some-year absence. I remember you as a star athlete at Warroad High School.
That's crazy that you say 30 years, but yeah, it's when your name first popped up, and it was pretty cool to hear from you, because obviously, you called back in the early 90s, you called our basketball games and our football games and our baseball games, and to hear that you're still at it and have a success. I know you were a big part of our community of Warroad back in the day, and we're glad you're still having success. And again, I appreciate the coverage, not only as an athlete, but as you mentioned, 30 years later as a football coach. So it's crazy how time flies. But again, I appreciate you having me on.
Troy Mattern, proof that Warroad does not just produce hockey players.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hope to talk to you again soon, Troy. Take care.
All right, Joe. I appreciate it. Take care.
Troy Mattern, coach of the Fargo Shanley Deacons football team, will continue on the Hillsboro EDC Coaches Show on your live event right after this.
There's more at 104. Hillsboro, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsboro and see why there's more at 104.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
Don't be fooled by that beat-up old cap. Its faded crown represents the tireless work of America's farmers and ranchers. Its sturdy brim, their dedication to providing our nation with a safe, affordable food source. From sunup to sundown, they're turning quarters into the dollars that drive our rural economy. So we'd like to tip our hat to them. Farmers Union Insurance. Protecting those that protect America's food source.
Contact Ryan Opdahl, Farmers Union Insurance, Hillsboro.
Welcome back to the Your Live Event Coaches Show, brought to you by Hillsboro Economic Development Committee. We'll be talking high school cross country in a little bit with Nathan STOA of the Hawley Nuggets. But right now we're going to stay in that part of Minnesota and talk high school football with Tony Soderberg of the DILWORTH-GLYNDON-FELTON Rebels. They're running Rebels and also passing Rebels and also winning Rebels.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. Tony Soderberg, the coach of the DILWORTH-GLYNDON-FELTON Rebels, joins me now, and the Rebels off to a 3-0 start. We're recording this before their game with East Grand Forks. That was last Friday, and they've got Park Rapids on the schedule coming up. Tony, tell me about your season so far.
I would say that we're kind of off to a pretty good start, and that's a credit to having some pretty good senior leadership on our team and some returning experience. We've got Jordan Summers, Owen Leach, Victor Sosa, Max Baumgartner, who are senior captains, who are returning all district football players, and some other athletes along with them that has really made the first 2 weeks of practice go pretty smoothly. And the first 3 games go fairly well. We have some, like I said, experience, and we also have some talented kids on our team. So, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting them ready to go and having a little bit of success.
You got to the quarterfinals in Class AAA last year. Are there a lot of kids back from that team?
Yeah. From our section championship game, we got 7 returners on offense, 7 returners on defense. We've got quite a bit of experience, and, we've got a nice mix of experience too. We got a couple of linemen, we got a couple of backs, we got our quarterback back, and Owen Leach. Injury bugs bitten us a little bit, so we're missing about 2 of those kids from last year. Casey Macheski, Caleb Johnson, but we're getting, I think, Caleb back for East Grand Forks and definitely next week. But we have some returners from last year.
Tell me a little bit about your team's style of play offensively and defensively.
Offensively, we like to run the ball. That's kind of where we hang our hat. I've been doing this for 15 years, and you're not always going to have that stud quarterback and stud wide receiver every year, especially in high school. So kind of a philosophy is we want to not be 1 or 2 player only. We want to be kind of 11 guys out there working together as one. So we're kind of we'll pack it in tight, and we'll try to put a hat on a hat and have our running backs run the correct way that we want them to, and just try to move the football down the field and, eventually score touchdowns. So we preach physicality, we're going to run the football offensively. Defensively, we can adapt to different teams that we play, but we're just traditionally a 4-2-5 that we play bend, don't break defense. We want to be physical up front, but also gap responsible. And, we're going to have teams make teams, beat us. We're not going to try to beat ourselves by doing anything too fancy. We just want to line up correctly, tackle well, and play good football.
It sounds like the Rebels are making themselves or yourselves the team to beat in your sectional. Comes to playoff time. Who do you see as a possible threat down the road?
To be honest with you, what I see as threats down the road are us being complacent, turning over the football, not tackling well, not being assignment sound. So, it doesn't really matter the team that we're going to be facing in the playoffs. We just got to make sure that we take these next 4 or 5 games and all the practices in between them and make sure that we're fine-tuned and ready to go come playoff time.
You don't want to beat yourself, and that's probably priority number 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any of your fellows who might be possible prospects to play at the next level, say in football or something else?
We got Owen Leach. I know he committed to the University of Minnesota Duluth for basketball. And there's some other athletes that I mentioned earlier, Jordan Summers, Victor Sosa, Max Baumgartner, that are getting interest and looks from schools. I don't dwell into that too much. If they have a question, they'll ask me about it, but usually, that's kind of recruiting that's not my cup of tea. My cup of tea is making sure come Friday night, the kids are ready to play. So, we definitely have some players that could play beyond high school.
Okay. And Park Rapids will be next on the schedule, as we say here. What do you know about them?
Park Rapids, their win-loss record hasn't been the greatest over the last couple of years, but defensively they're gonna live and die by putting pressure on you. And so if we can make sure we can shore that up and not succumb to blitzes, especially for big plays, we've got to put a hat on a hat and be physical up front and try to get our running backs in open spot and maybe hit them with a couple play action plays. But it's a football game, and it doesn't matter what anybody's record is. You got to go out and perform for 4 quarters and function on a high level. So like I said, we're going to be worried about making sure we don't have any turnovers and blocking well and tackling well and all the basics of football that kind of lead to wins.
And the goal is to be 1-0 for the week.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Tony Soderberg, the coach of the Dilworth-GLYNDON-FELTON Rebels, thank you so much, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir.
We'll continue with the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com right after this.
Hillsboro Economic Development Committee supports businesses in the Hillsboro community in the form of loans and grants. Experience Hillsboro. There's more at 104.
Welcome back to the Hillsboro EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. Joined now by Nathan Stoa, the coach of the HAWLEY cross-country teams, the Nuggets boys and girls. I understand you had a meet in Grand Forks over the weekend that went pretty well.
Yeah, it did. We decided that we wanted to see some new teams, so we stepped up to the AA division. Not for any sort of arrogance or thinking we were going to win it, but just you go to a big meet like the Border Battle, something new, and you want to see some new faces. And so, what other times are our kids going to run against the, Bismarck Centuries of the world and the Willistons and the Dickinsons and even Red River and Central to that extent. And so it was good. Plus those races usually just are a little bit deeper with the faster times. And that's kind of what we were looking for to get out of our 3, 4, and 5 runners, was to see different faces and to be pushed a little bit differently in the middle of their races. And so it turned out to be a very successful Saturday, at least based off of what we were looking to get out of it for our kids.
Now, the boys, I understand, are ranked among the top teams in the state?
Yeah, for the first time in what we believe is school history. Well, nobody can remember it happening before, but they have crept in now for the last 2 weeks in the top 12, and they're sitting at 11. We're in a really loaded section, though. Teams 2 and 3 in the state are both in our section. So getting out of our section as a team would be a chore and a half. And then Lake Park Audubon also has 3 kids that are sub 17 and in our section, and they were the team that we leapfrogged to get into the top 12. So we're in a super competitive section where it used to be amongst the weaker sections in the state, and now in the last few years we've been able to flip that a little bit and not just have Perham in it, but Park Rapids has come and built a loaded program with the kids that they have right now, and our boys are scratching and clawing to keep climbing that ladder. And the Lake, like I said, Lake Park's got 3 dudes at the top of their rotation, so or top of their scoring set. So it's a fun section right now.
Tell me about the boys who have gotten the team to this level.
Well, right now we were rejoined by Benjamin Gieslin, who he was with us during the COVID year as a sophomore. Then he went back to football for a year and then came back to us, and he's our number 1 runner right now. He put a lot of time in over the summer. He was in over 400 summer miles and really committed himself, and wouldn't be upset with me if I said he would come up and say, "I told you so." Or I could say, "I told you so" to him, I should say, because he's been a kid he's a better runner than he was a football player, and he's not going to argue that. And so it's been great to have him back. And he's been our number 1 runner all but one time since he's returned. We've got sophomore Bridger Larson has been out with us since 7th grade, and he has also put a lot of summer miles on and has been very competitive and hit some new PRs this year. So he's been our 2. Landon Bakke, who joined us as a freshman. He is now a junior, and he is also in our sub-18 crew right now. And then we've got 2 seniors that are scoring for us, Steven Celine and Tyler Hoganson, who, we have yet to see their best for this year, but we know it's down the road. Their workouts have been incredibly solid. And then Drake Dagenet is a first-year guy who's also been running in our 6th spot, and he and Tyler have not just been an impressive workout duo. They have finished the last 3 meets within the same second of each other. Tyler just edging them out. So, but it's been a great way for a first-year guy like Drake to get his feet wet and figure things out, to have a veteran and senior like Tyler to kind of show him the way. And those 2 have gotten close in their workouts and on meet days.
Okay. Now, the Nuggets girls, if I remember right, were at the state meet last year?
Yes, we qualified the last 3 years. The middle of those 3 years being the COVID year, so there wasn't a state meet for us. We did participate in the independent one, but so it's been three straight years of qualifying as a runner-up in our section to Perham. Last year being the year that we legitimately had a chance to get them. We just couldn't quite pull it off. But then we were able to finish 4th at the state last year, just missed the podium, but were able to finish amongst the state's best last year.
How are the girls that you have back from last year?
We're running really solid right now. Depth is our biggest issue within the girls side of the program, is we only have 13 total girls. And that's all we had in the 2 non-COVID years we qualified as well. So the talent versus the quantity has been very good. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I would like some more depth and some interchangeable pieces, so to speak, because we've battled some illnesses and some injuries. But Ivy Tickle has been our number 1 runner the last couple years, the last couple meets. And she's been consistently in our top 5 since she was a 7th grader. She's now a junior. Lily Olsen has been an all-section competitor for us and has run number 1 when Ivy hasn't. She's battled a few injuries. And then Trista Bear is a junior who was outside our top 5 in the years prior, but now that we're kind of borderline ranked and still looking with our goals to advance, she's jumped up to our 3rd spot and set PRs a couple times. And then we've been ecstatic about the progress of Michaela Jelneck, who's our 4 runner. She's an 8th grader who last year before the first race looked at my assistant coach, Dylan Olsen, and said, "Coach, I just don't want to get last." And she obviously didn't. That was a junior high race. Then she had a fun year last year, put on a lot of miles over the summer, and now she's done nothing but set personal records every race she goes back out there. And now, much like with Drake and Tyler I mentioned before, she and Trista have become a fantastic workout and race day duo, which again is just such a great way for our younger athletes to start to figure things out.
That's got to be so great as a coach when you've got somebody who's doubting what it is they can do, and then they find out.
Yeah, those, it's so cliche. That's what I'm teaching in my class right now. Cliches is on our docket for today in language arts. But it is so cliche, but it's those light bulb moments. And whether it be in the classroom or on the basketball court or on the cross country course or just during a workout, when you see the kids start to get it and start to understand it. But the getting it and understanding it part in cross country is confidence. It's that confidence and belief in themselves. So it's an even more important light bulb moment for kids that participate in such a grueling sport.
Nathan Stoa, the coach of the Hawley cross country teams, and the Nuggets have got their first home meet, or only home meet of the season, coming up on Thursday of this week. Is that right?
It is on Thursday. We actually get to host twice this year because we're in our rotation. We'll host our conference meet. So 2 of the next 3 weeks we will be hosting.
Okay, who have you got coming in for the Invitational?
So the meet is named after Dale Scalard, a longtime administrator here in Hawley, who just had an absolute affinity and love for kids that ran cross country. So it's the Dale Scalard Memorial, and it's always been a relatively small meet, but it'll be very quality. We'll have that Lake Park Ottoman will be coming in, so they'll bring a really good boys team and a few good girl individuals. Frazee, DILWORTH-GLYNDON-FELTON will be in, us obviously, and then Kindred will come over across the river. They've come over for the last few years, and we know that they bring. I think their girls they're either receiving votes or right there on the edge of that top 5, and then their boys team is outstanding. So it's great to have their squad back again this year. And then West Fargo Cheyenne is going to come on out this year for the first time. So that should help boost each of the fields. I think we'll have a very competitive race on both genders for the 5Ks.
Okay, and what's your next meet after that?
Then we'll head to Perham for their invitational. So it'll be our second trip to Perham. They're bringing in somewhere around 25 teams. Lakeville South's coming up, and a lot of good area talent. And that meet is usually a PR fest. So we're hoping for the perfect fall weather and a not a soggy course by any means, because kids really look forward to that. And we bumped our meet up a week so that we could participate in that one, because we think that one's such just great competition, and it's such a fun course that Jeff has set up in Perham that kids drop time and watch that confidence grow as we get towards the championship season.
Okay, we look forward to seeing what the Hawley Nuggets cross-country teams can do as we get toward the end of the season. Nathan Stoa, thanks very much for the time and best of luck.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Nathan Stoa, coach of the Hawley cross-country teams, and we'll have more on the Coaches Show right after this.
North Dakota state law requires students attending school to be up to date on immunizations that protect them from life-threatening diseases such as measles, chickenpox, mumps, or pertussis. Trail District Health Unit reminds parents to get your children all the recommended vaccinations for their health and the safety of our community. Contact Trail District Health Unit if you have any vaccination questions or if you would like to schedule an appointment. Call 701-636-4434 for Trail District Health Unit.
Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9 in Ada invites you to order your new Buick and Chevrolet vehicles. From the Silverado, Trailblazers, Traverse, and Enclave, Lee Brothers is your authorized Chevrolet and Buick dealer, providing sales and a service to the area since 1975. For ordering your vehicles, talk with Mitch, Smurf, or Jay. Trust the experts who know your vehicles best and take advantage of great Chevy certified service offers today. Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9, Ada, 218-784-2000.
Honesty, loyalty, integrity. At Bank North, we've remained true to these values for generations. They shape the way we do business, work with customers, and support our communities. We've been here for more than a century, helping people grow farms and businesses, finance homes, and pursue their dreams. It's values-based banking, and it's all about working together to strengthen the common threads that bind us together. Bank North, always true.
Welcome back to the Your Live Event Coaches Show presented by Hillsboro Economic Development Committee. I'm Joe Lancello. We'll be talking some high school football. There's a big game with Hillsboro, Central Valley, and Bottineau coming up on Friday night. You can see that on yourliveevent.com. Scott Olson, the coach of the Hillsboro Central Valley Burros, will preview that for us. But we'll start off with some high school volleyball. Mayport having a very impressive season. I had a chance to talk to Coach Stacy Hanson of the Patriots.
We're back on the Coaches Show on yourliveevent.com, talking now with Stacy Hanson, the coach of the Mayport CG Finley Sharon volleyball team. And you guys ranked number 6 in the state and looked pretty impressive last Thursday night with a victory at home against Griggs Midkota. Talk a little bit about that game.
I think the girls came in ready to play. We played in a tournament that Saturday previously, and so we had a few days of 3 days of practice, and I think they were ready to play and get out of that mode of practicing. And so they came in ready to play and did a nice job. I think we had talked previously in the pregame show about serving and being aggressive with their serving, and the girls did a good job of serving aggressively and took Griggs Midkota out of system so that we were able to take advantage of them, giving us some free balls, and we were able to run some stuff on them.
And I think there were 4 aces out of the first 6 points that you scored. That's got to really freak out any team, no matter what their skill level is.
Yeah. I mean, and in volleyball, anything can go any way at any time. So 4 points is, a small amount. But I think at that point, too, give some momentum to our girls and see, what they could do with some aggressive serving and what it can do. So at any time, if the team do that to us too, it's kind of the same thing. It can cause that momentum shift to change, but you have to kind of respect when you can get points by off of just a serve, instead of having to, rally it out a little bit, that's to your advantage, and we'll take that anytime we can get it.
Danica Hansen was a big part of that strong serving that you had, and she also, I think, led you in kills that night too.
Yeah, I had to go back and look at that too. I think she had 10 kills and 9 aces. I think we had another person with 4 aces. I think we had 16 aces for the whole match. So overall, as a team, they did a nice job with that, and Danica too. And she's our first server, so she obviously had more opportunities and more serves to get those aces by leading us off in all of our rotations. So, but yeah, she does a nice job, and one of the assistant coaches does a nice job of giving them placements to make them successful. And there's about half of the girls that really look and thrive on that, like, where am I going? Where am I going? And honestly, our girls are smart enough, they could do it themselves, but they look for that little bit of reassurance as to where are we going? Where are we going, long or short, or what are we doing? So yeah, I think overall they all did a nice job.
Sounds like analytics a little bit.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of strategy. What's, the opportunities to take them out of system, not necessarily getting an ace every time, because that's not going to happen. But if we can get them out of system and get an easier ball for us to handle and take from the other team, we'll do that if we can.
You've got some pretty strong hitters. 2 of them by the same name of the Satchram twins, Riley and Raina, both had good games for you on Thursday.
Yep. Both of them are good players, play different positions. They're different. They have different strengths. They're different dynamics to both of them, but both are they're both good athletes, and they both contribute quite a bit to our offense and also our defense. They do a nice job passing and serve receive, and as a defender, they do a good job reading where that ball is going to be going. But offensively, yes, they had a good night. Riley gets a little bit more of the better balls, because to set your middles, you're going to be usually running something that's a good pass to your setter usually. Raina's going to get a little bit more of the not so good balls, out of system balls. And so she does a very good job of placing the ball and putting into play and doing some off speed and working line and angles and stuff like that. So they're both good ball players. They're both very dynamic in their own way, and they're very different, even though they're twins.
Tell me about your setters, because a setter is necessary to make the offense run.
Right. We had 2 new setters this year, and that's what we graduated from our last year's team. So we have Danica Hansen as a junior and Allie Stromstead as a senior that came in and do most of our setting in our 6-2 rotation. You want somebody that has a mindset that they're going to want to run the floor and they want to be a leader out on that floor. And when things start getting, going tough, what do you need to do? Like, who are we going to? I'm going to hopefully keep going to those hitters that are doing well. And those girls, are working on that, being this is a new role for them this year. And I think they've done a pretty good job this year. We also had Kaiser Carlson, who came in the game on Thursday, and she, I think that maybe, I don't know if it was 4 or 6 assists, and she's a freshman, so she's new and just trying to work her in a little bit because, she's probably going to be contributing to us in the future. And you never know, at any time during the season, things can happen that want to have her ready to play if that were to happen. And she actually has a very calm mindset. So I guess if she had to go in and play, I would have no problem with that. I think she'd be just fine.
A couple other people I want to give mention to, Kate Bradner and Julian Larson did good jobs at the net too for you.
Yeah, we've been working on our blocking, and that was something I was happy with our girls. Both Jillian and Kate, Jill plays on our right side and Kate usually in the middle. And if you put those 2 together, you have a solid block when we can get that block closed and those 2 going up together. So I think they had quite a few. Kate, I think, had 4 total blocks on the night, and Jill contributed to that too. And they've done a nice job. So yeah, if you can have hitters having to work around a big force up there, it makes it a little bit easier on our defenders behind them. So they do a nice job. I think Kate's leading our team in blocks this year, solo blocks and block assists. So yeah, they're doing a good job.
Where do the Patriots stand as far as the progress you want to see at this point of the season?
We're still going up. We're still have forward progress. We're still climbing. We still have stuff that we're working on. We have a lot of girls that played together before, but there's a lot of things that we need to kind of grow into and get a little bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but mature a little bit more in our play of volleyball too. So there's some girls that don't have as much varsity experience that are in there, but especially in that setting position. But the girls, we're happy where we're at, but we have room to grow, and we want to keep growing because we get to the end of the season. You want to hopefully be peaking and be at the best volleyball that we can be at. And we're not there yet, but we're working on it.
Talk about the other competition in the region. Thompson's unbeaten in region play, and Hatton Northwood's been doing well, and Cavalier as well near the top of the standings.
And I think it's kind of deceiving when you look at the standings, because some teams have played a lot of region matches and some teams have only played one or two, and they finished the end of the season with a lot of region matches. So, it's hard to say where people are at if you look at just how many losses they've had and how many matches they've played. But yeah, Hatton Northwood's been playing well, and North Border, I believe, Cavalier, Thompson, and they've been without one of their tall girls. They've been playing well, but still haven't had a region loss. I think they went 5 with Grafton the other day, who's a scrappy team too, that makes you nervous at the end of the year that they're going to be ready to play too. So honestly, if you got to be playing your best ball at the end of the year, if you want to come out on top and advance to that next tournament. So and with injuries and stuff, which I know some teams are facing now, you just never know when that injury bug will hit any team, and that can make a big difference in how your season's going to go.
What's your schedule look like for the next few days?
So this week we travel to Larimore, and on Thursday we travel to Midway Minto. So we go up to Minto and play. And then the following week we are off until Thursday, where we travel to Drayton. And then on Saturday we go up to Langdon. And usually in that Langdon tournament, there's some very good teams, some high-powered teams there. So that's kind of what we're focusing on for the next 2 weeks, is getting through those 3 region matches and then hopefully playing well in that Langdon tournament.
I see Langdon play early in the season. That's a nice ball club.
Rich always has a good team, and I know they've been battling. Cora Bading's come back from an ACL injury. So she's, from just seeing her play at the scrimmage at the beginning of August to her playing at the tournament last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And she's definitely getting her legs back to her, and she's a big force for their team. And Langdon always has a strong team, strong serving, good hitting, good passing, defense. So it'd be fun to play a Langdon team when you go into a tournament like that, because, we want to be challenged and want to see where we're at.
We'll see what happens with the Patriot volleyball team this season. Stacy Hanson, thanks very much, and best of luck for the rest of the way.
Thanks so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Stacy Hanson, the coach of the Mayport CG Finley Sharon Patriots. We'll be back with the Coaches Show right after this.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. We bring in head coach of Hillsboro Central Valley Borough Football, Scott Olsen, joining us. Scott, we've talked throughout the year, had you on the preseason too, and let's talk about how the year has gone so far with the one loss, but coming here now with 4 straight victories after that.
Yeah, so it's been a process of implementing, all the new faces that we had from last year to this year. Trying to find who's gonna give us depth, who's gonna give us special teams. Who just the makeup of our team. How are we going to be? As the bump in the road against Kindred. That showed us how hard we have to start playing and figure things out. And we've been on a decent run since then. And injuries have plagued the year for a lot of teams, but more for us than in the past. So that's tested our depth, and I think our guys have responded. And we're fighting for that region championship and in a big game this week.
You talk about the bump against Kindred, and for the new guys or some of those underclassmen to build that depth. Was that kind of your welcome to varsity football moment there? And has that changed the mentality and the intensity of practices and preparation, everything since then?
Yeah, we always have intense practices because, we have a high standard of how we play, but it just gave us a focal point to what we need to focus on and how hard we need to practice and how hard we need to play in games, and it's not just an overall thing, it's every individual play. So it was a good lesson learned, and we have 3 games left, and we're excited for those 3 games.
You mentioned the injuries as well too, and maybe the silver line of that is the next guy up has come in, played, been tested, and still been able to play well a lot.
Yeah, you look at a guy like Kyle Hafley that wasn't really on our radar, to start the year, and they've really been a good depth guy, but He's got a few starts under his belt now on both sides, and he makes plays all over the field. He leads our special teams and tackles. He has a couple big pass knockdowns, a big 2-point conversion last week or 2 weeks ago against as a good big stop against Langdon. Touchdown last week. So he's really came along throughout the year. We're throwing him in at different positions, especially on defense, some linebacker, some corner, some safety. He's been a big part of our success this year.
Success you're looking to continue. You mentioned 3 games left, a big one coming up here with Bottineau on the schedule for Friday. 2 teams right now, along with Thompson, that undefeated in the region. So talk about what that matchup means to your team and to your coaching staff.
Yeah, no, it's a big game. It's Bottineau. We've never faced Bottineau, and they were 9-man last year. Had a really good run last year, 9-man. The previous years they were a team that struggled, but their coaching staff has got them going in the right direction. They have a lot of good players, led by their quarterback, and he is a very good quarterback, pocket passer. Has a couple really nice wide receiver threats, a quick little scat back that's really quick. A taller 6'4" kid that can get down the field, has a couple defensive touchdowns this year, pick sixes. Big line, 3 big boys in the middle that we'll need to handle. And it's a huge test. And if we want to reach our goal of region championship, they're next.
You talk about that switch from 9-man to 11-man, and what's it been, 10, 11 years since the Burros had to make that switch. Do you remember anything about that as far as challenges that you guys had to go through that maybe you might be able to exploit against the Braves?
It's having to add 2 more offensive linemen, to the offensive side of the ball. Other than that, it's usually pretty much easier to transition from 9 to 11 just because it's more guys in the field. The fields are the same size. It shrinks the field where in from 11 to 9, it expands the field because you have less guys to cover the same amount of ground. But I think there's being in week 7 of this, I don't think there's really much that we can do in terms of exploiting that. They transitioned very well. They're undefeated, and they played some really good games of late, and it'll be a big challenge on Friday.
All right. And you mentioned the region championship is the goal. 3 games left. What do you need to see out of your team to reach that goal here at the end of the regular season around the corner?
Yeah, keep taking care of the ball. I think we're definitely ahead of the plus minus ratio of turnovers. We've been really solid on penalties throughout the year. We didn't play a clean first half last week, but that's things that we can fix. Then keep being aggressive defensively. Where we played a really good basically a whole game last week against Harvey, limiting them, forcing them to break out of the pocket, taking away their first reads in the pass game, and then offensively keep being physical. Just keep running downhill and keep doing what we do.
Scott Olson, head coach for Hillsboro-Central Valley. Burrows hosting Bottineau this week at Central Valley School. And Scott, look forward to being there with you again with the broadcast on yourliveevent.com. Best of luck. We'll see you on Friday night.
Sounds good, Jake. Thanks.
And that is going to do it for this edition of the Your Live Event Coaches Show presented by Hillsboro Economic Development Committee. Next week, Alex Sorcevic, the coach of the Thompson Tommies football team, will be joining us. We'll have more coaches about high school football, volleyball, cross country, and whatever else is on the horizon as we get into the month of October. I'm Joe Lancello. Thanks very much for joining us, and please join us next week. Our next show will come on at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. The Your Live Event Coaches Show, presented by Hillsboro Economic Development Committee.
This has been the Your Live Event Coaches Show, presented by the Hillsboro Economic Development Committee.